Working out the audio issues on this thing. Okay, let's see, where were we at? So last time was working on some of the weapon switching stuff and decided I need to do a little research of how I want to handle things like containers and how we want to summon monsters. And looking at Pal World, I kind of like the way they do it, where the monsters you summon are effectively items that you throw at objects to give them the commands you can pick up later. So in order to do that, I need to build a whole inventory system for the player, and then I need to extend that so that you can actually put items into chests and stuff. So I ended up building that. I've got an inventory menu now that opens up, and you can swap out your carried items from an inventory to your loadout. And close this. Each one of those will close down the menu. It'll update your weapon sets from different slots. I also got restrictions in there, so you can't put in an item in a slot that's not validly not a valid slot for it. So like this gold thing is a currency. I've also set it up so the currencies have different items have different ways that it reads the network data, so that I can compress these a little better. So these things only work in right-hand slots, and so each one of these is left and right-hand associated. And then I went ahead and I built a system for networking all of these, and it ended up being a little more complicated than I originally thought, because you want to have the way that I set up the data, I want to be able to extend it so that containers contain slots or containers are just an index of a reference to several slots. So my data looks like this. Each container, let me grab container data. So pull this guy. So this is a container slot, and it's just a struct that gives me a start and end index, and then if it's assigned to a container. And then those start and end indexes are references to another struct that's networked called a item slot data. And there's a replicator for that, which is just a way that's just a network object that holds this struct. So it contains the item data and if it's been assigned. So when you create a container, it figures out how many slots it needs and then figures out the unused index and then counts up and assigns all those indices. So all that's done, and I managed to get it to working to the point where it replicates properly across clients. And it scales pretty well now. I don't really know how big the struct will ultimately need to be. So I think my item constants is, let's see, okay, so I've got each replicator for the items has about 1,024 slots, and we only have 500 or 256 containers per replicator. So each of these becomes a network object in Fusion, and those are all the data that's going to be holding this object, because Fusion really doesn't do a good job of being very efficient with each network object it mates. So we try to make as few of those as we can when we're building the game. Let's see. And then everything runs through this container manager, which I've also used before for stockpiles, which I want to rewrite because I want to use this slot system for the stockpile information. And then it's got the container prefabs and then replicator, all those slot replicator prefabs. So you can have as many as you want. Once you go over the number of either one of those, it will add another replicator of that type, and then that'll be a new network object that it can link into. And because of that, it means we can scale it pretty well across a bunch of, depending on if there's a bunch of people who are using the system to make a lot of containers or a lot of slots. And that means, because I've got it separated, the containers aren't necessarily assigned just to storage chests. They're assigned to whatever I want to put them in. So let's just close this down. I can show you what it looks like in the data. So here is the stockpile. This is a storage chest. Storage chest has a number of slots, and I can just change that. You can see what it looks like, because when I create a new one, it'll now create a new container that has 12 slots in it. And it will assign these indices, and there's my 12 slots. It'll assign these indices in that system and then give it unique slots. So let's take a look at what this guy looks like. Let's say it created another container replicator. It did, so there's a bug in there I'll have to figure out, because it should not be creating a new one. It should find the old one. Let's take a look at why it did that. Here's the storage chest pool. And so container, and that's 0 to 1 indices, 8 to 16. And then this one capped it out at 256, which means something happened post-save. I'm guessing in the save data, something got messed up. We'll find out. I'll just do some debugging. And so I want to deal with that, and then I want to start going into start making the items that the player can throw out to assign to work tasks and pick back up, which I think I need a whole new input system for that. I need like a whole new set of keys, because right now you've got your spells you can do. You can swap items in this thing. You've got this interact state, and you've got this build mode, which gives you all access to a whole new set of buildable objects that you can switch through. Must have took crypt out of here for some reason. Wonder what. Maybe I replaced it. Anyway. So that all saves. My guess is that the save screwed up. Or it's not reading it as assigned in the save. Let's take a look at the save data. And one of the restrictions I have is just making sure that everything networks properly to all the clients, so that when a client drops, the other client becomes the host and has all the correct data that he needs. So this is going to be a lot of stuff. Okay, there's container indices. True, true, true. So it did assign all of them to true. That's what it is, what's happening. So the fact that they're all true means that the save data either saved them that way or loaded them wrong. Let's see where this thing saves. So I have a world save load manager. Where is it saving it? That's loading. Let's take a look at the loading. So it adds it here, and then I have somewhere along the line where I use it. And I bet it's something in there. Well, it did save wrong, so I'm guessing it's something in the save. Save world's got to be up here, right? Yeah. Okay. Item slot data, container slot data is assigned. Let's find out where this is used. Okay, so it loads the containers. Yeah, it's setting them all to true in here. That's the problem. So I need to take the container save data. And I'll clear the save just to be safe. Put one of these guys down, couple of them, And let's see. So here's a storage chest. There we go. Okay, so 0 to 11, 12 to 23, 36. Okay. So it should open it. It should have those. I'll throw some items in there. Now my storage chest data saves, but my inventory doesn't. So when I close this down and restart, it should load me right back where I'm at and should have 2 items in that storage chest. There we go. Okay. So that's working. Let me put another one down just to make sure it's not throwing a weird index now. Okay, looks like it did okay. Let's find. Turn this off. There we go. Not this. Storage chest pool. So it is the same. Yep. Container index 3. So now we're at the correct index. And then this one should have stuff in it, which it does. And I gotta fix that input because I want to be able to close it easier. Right now you can't close unless you hit I, which is to open inventory, or one of these X buttons, which is a pain. I kind of want it so you hit E as well to close it because it is an interact. I had to make a new interact state for it. Because normally your interact has a couple of different options. Like there's the dialogue one, there's the harvest one, and then there's this new one called the container. And that's going to be like a manipulating one where if you have something that opens up a menu is going to be very similar. So I might change how this this beam system works just so that I have different. I'm full. I have a different visual for it. See, this one still works. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so one thing I want to fix is this. We've got overlapping UI elements. Let's do that. Let's clean that up too. So in the gameplay UI, let's see. I think I want to go right to the inventory view. Okay, so I should open the storage widget. Storage chest is my interactable. Why isn't it closing? That's open. That should be false. Maybe there's something else opening it. Can't think of what would be doing that though. Unless I didn't assign it. Let's take a look actually there. Yeah, I didn't even assign it, that's why it's happening. Surprised it wasn't erroring or. Yeah, that did it. Okay, so now it's not open. Great. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to make a new set of loadout slots for my character. that will contain the summonables. Let's go to my loadout. It says a player inventory component. Okay, so we've got new loadout slots. We'll call this summon 0. Okay. We'll go with 5 for now. So I want to be able to do it all with one hand. So maybe we would do R for the summons, because R is already cycling to build mode. Change build mode to B. Okay, so I've made a set of items. I don't think I made this item type actually. We should probably make the item type. Or should I go with the... I should make the UI real quick. Because I'm already in here. Inventory view. Loadout widget. Okay. And I'm going to make this a horizontal group. So now that we have this, let's see, we need to start making items that we can equip. That's the correct slot type. UI loadout slot. We're going to assign these correctly. Probably want to set these up so that they're somehow on the UI too. We'll see. So I need a new component. So I've got idle state. But could I use this to... So build mode's a unique mode. I'm trying to think if I want to make this... I probably should make it a new state, just because. And that way it's something that I can be very careful how the inputs work. But it's mostly going to be how the idle state works. Okay, so we want to get rid of... We got this maneuvers component, which I use for a lot of stuff, but I think we probably want to make a unique one. Because maneuvers mostly gives information about your spells and your melee. So we'll call it a new one. We'll call it a summon component. Let's take a look at what this maneuver one does. Yes, there's a lot of stuff in here. It plays an animation. I'm trying to see if I should overload the maneuver and let you use a summonable as a maneuver. Okay, so we process selection, we process activation, and swap is in there too. Because weapon swap is a maneuver. The big thing is that I open up the menu for buildable into a whole new component. But I do like the maneuver system. It's kind of hard to get me to change that. Because it already has all the stuff. I think I gotta make a new component. I think that's just because I want to be able to spend it and have it removed from my inventory, which is different than how maneuvers work. And it needs to do all the work for targeting and giving them a command. Okay. So I'm going to make a new component. Okay, I'm going to grab this and take the pieces I need. Should probably call it Summoner. We don't want maneuver. We want this to be defined in an item, which means we need an item definition, which means we need to make a new kind of item definition. So let's do summons setup. So I should probably have this, instead of here, it should be coming from the inventory. So what we need to do is we just inject into the inventory, probably. So what I want to do is I want to make sure this thing is what's called. Where is my summon state? Okay, so I need to go to this and add the component. Okay. Okay, so I need to make an item type for this. So I've got item definition. So this is a weapon definition. I want to basically figure out how I want to handle this. Because it's an item, it's going to be a summonable. We'll just clone this guy to start with. So I don't think we need much data on it except for the item information. So there's not a whole lot it needs. I definitely don't need an idle animation for it. Because it is going to be based on the weapon I currently have, so that wouldn't do much. This is for melee, so that doesn't need to happen. We'll just leave it blank then. Oh, you know what it does need? It does need the actual reference to what's going to get spawned. So, non-player character definition. That's what's going to spawn when it's used. I don't know if it needs... Because maneuvers have an awful lot of information in them. I don't know if we want to do that here. I think we do. I think we need a lot of stuff off them, actually. Because we need the animation to play. So we'll grab a bunch of that. So here's a maneuver definition. Let's see what else we need to pull. So we're not going to do cooldown because it's going to remove it from your inventory. Do we need the input type? No, because it's just going to summon. We have the icon. We have an animation. We need to play an animation when it's used. And here's the triggers for upper body. Okay, we probably, because you use it and it becomes a projectile, should it be a projectile at the end of the day? Like a projectile that spawns a target? I mean, I've already done that, so maybe that's the best way to handle it. But it does need a timeline because it's run like the... Yeah, it's run like the other maneuvers are run. Hold on, the more I think about it, maybe I wrap this thing in a maneuver and say that a maneuver is what's used. Let's do that. Let's do, so if I wrap it in a maneuver, then I'm going to be running the maneuver, but I'm not updating the maneuver because I'm not in maneuver state. If I'm doing that, I might as well be in the maneuver, or in the idle state, and not in the summon state. Let's just make a maneuver for now, and then I'll figure out how I want to handle that. Then it's wrapped in a maneuver, and then it can do all this stuff, and then when it's done, it'll spawn a projectile, and that projectile will ultimately clear the maneuver from my list. Let's make one of these just to start it off. I already have a maneuver I could use for this. I can use my one summon skeletons, and that would be fine. Let's see what weapons are at. Okay, so we've got currency, we've got weapons, and I will make a new folder for these. Folder summons. Create a new one of these. Summonable. Summon worker. Should probably do it like this. A model. Oh, for when it's dropped. I don't need that. Data definition for this item. I think I can just do it as a regular item. And a valid loadout slot, we want it to be one of these. Any one of these slots. And then a maneuver definition. So we want to throw in that summon skeletons maneuver. Now it should be able to use that because I've got this this maneuver that already runs. The real question is how to connect the two for when it's used. So when I summon the guy, it actually knows post spawn to initiate the command that it needs to do. All right, so yeah, I already have this thing which will summon skeletons. There we go. Okay, so I need to be able to move that into an item that gets consumed. And I need to switch over to the summoner. So I want to go into a way to toggle it. And I think I do a toggle in here. Toggle build mode. I have that. I need a toggle summon mode. So let me go into the player controls. Let me turn this into R. And then we'll turn this one into B. B. So now we have a summon mode. We'll save the asset. And is there something else I'm gonna do here? I think there might be something else. No, because we already have each of these actions slots toggled, so each one of those will read as you switch items. Okay. So in here, if I'm in build mode, it removes it. If I'm in idle, it pulls it out. So what I need to do is, instead of this, for check toggle mode, Where does this actually get checked at? It's got to be in fixed update, right? Okay, so it checks it after all this. Am I ever not using it? Okay, so it does it before I reset the input for the frame. And so it's gonna be cycling, which is kind of stupid. But we can do this. We'll set this up at least. Move to summon mode. So this is activated by interacting. And I think with my interact state, I don't. Where the hell is interact state? It's got to be in here somewhere. Maybe it doesn't let you do anything in interact state. Okay, so here's interacting state. So interacting state does not let you change out of it. Which I think is fine, because you need to exit interact before you can do anything else. So instead of checking toggle build mode, rename check mode change. So it shouldn't matter what state I'm in. Well, actually, should if I'm in a state like build mode, then I should move out when that's triggered. So let's start with this. We'll change how this wraps because this needs to just be more overall. So okay, and then if summon mode. Oh, I've got to add that to the gameplay input. Where's build mode? And then I need to actually make sure it updates in the player input. Here's the player input. Okay, where do I toggle build mode? There's build mode off. I'll do true. And I'll do false, and then summon mode. So this is where I toggle build categories. And that's the actions. Build mode here. Okay, this just means that build mode is prioritized if both are hit at the same time for now. So it doesn't check for mode change in. It doesn't check for mode change to interact, so it doesn't actually need to check for interact in here. But what it does need to do is move to idle if it's in build mode, and if it's not in idle, then else see what this does. I want to move to build mode if I am not in build mode already. That's good. Okay, if I am in summon mode, I'm gonna rename this summon mode state. If I'm in it, and then if not, I'm gonna move to summon mode. Oh, it's gotta refresh. Now I'm going to add this stuff to the player character. I eventually want to move the input system off of the player character, but for now this is just trying to get stuff in quickly. So I need to go and I need to find my state machine and add a new component, call it the summon mode state. Hook this up. And then add our summon component into here. Summoner component. And this thing has some references to the player character, which I have to go through as well and clean that stuff up anyway. So I don't want to pull from there. We don't need the swap weapon maneuver. Let's just add this guy to this. Okay, let's take a look at Summoner. So we need to remove this. We don't care about swapping weapons. We don't care about that. We want to probably keep these because these are used in the other component. They're using the other component to allow the remote players to see what he's doing. So I will need these. And then it probably will need to, let's see, let's call this, it's my active summoning. It's okay. And then active, I mean, it is a maneuver, so I'm trying to figure out if like that's a thing. We don't want a cooldown. We don't need these indexes. We don't need a swap weapon. Nope. Active summoning index. Okay, cool. So we've got selected. And okay, we need to gather this stuff up. We'll start here. Let's actually go, we gotta go into the inventory and set up the inventory here. And it's an item, so we need to start throwing in the items as his. Okay. I'll be right back. Get a drink. Alright, so I get these summons, and now I want to be able to put them into the inventory. The way I built that is actually, I built a debugger for this. I thought I made a copy loadout thing, but I guess I didn't. Let's take a look. So I made in the global settings, there is a test loadout. And this allows me to put stuff into the player's inventory on spawn. And yes, this is where you get the stuff in the inventory. And I need to extend this a little bit to get myself the summons. Okay, so I got this is test weapon. I don't think this needs to be a test weapon. Probably needs to be a test item. But I want to filter it. And I think I do that in the editor script. Test. Maybe I do it in the test weapon script. Looks like it. Okay, so I do that in here. So test weapon allows me to assign only a weapon definition. Let's take a look if I can do that here. Test weapon, set definition. Can I throw a currency in or not? I can't. Okay, so I want to be able to set one of those up. I need to make another one of these. Call this summonable? Summon. Test summon. I guess it's a summonable. Okay, and then I have to create one of these too. Okay, so that should read that property drawer now. And let's take a look at the test loadout. Test summonable. All right, what's wrong with the summoner component? Okay, so I don't need to process this yet. So let's dump all this. Let's dump this. We can get rid of this entirely. We can get rid of that entirely. We can dump. I think we do want to keep that though, which we can get rid of this stuff though. So I need to, instead of that maneuver index, that's a trouble thing because the problem I have now is that that summon is an item and the player doesn't replicate his inventory. So I will have to figure out a way to do that, or I could just send an RPC. But then you'd miss it if it's a long summon and someone joins. So probably not good. But let's just okay, we can dump these. Do this for now. Wait, I still need that process input. And I still need that. don't need cooldown. We probably do need move speed eventually. But I'm gonna... Let's update the selection. Update action selection. What is that about? Process summon selection. Oh, because when the action selection updates, it does it through here. It's something about changing it. Okay, so we can dump that. What else we got? We can clean up. Process maneuver expiration. Just do this. You can comment that out for now. Okay, that should at least get us something in the inventory, because we just need that first. Okay, this thing's missing something. Okay, don't care about that for now. Okay, hopefully this test loadout works now. Okay, so now we have this, and the only summonables available is here. And now we gotta copy it over. And I'll add some more currency just for shits and giggles. Okay. Now I gotta copy it over. So in my test loadout, there's copy item loadout. And we can go, we can set I gotta figure out where that gets called from. I think I call it right in the inventory, right? Player inventory, yep, I copy it right here. Okay, so that's how we do it. Okay, so now I have all that. Now I need to get it to display on the UI. Let's take a look at where my loadout widget is. Those are my loadout slots. I didn't add them all to the dictionary. So in theory, if I just add it in the dictionary, it should just pick it up. Get item at loadout slot. So it's got to be added here too. Okay. Set item at loadout slot. This allows you to move items. This is from the inventory into your loadout, so I should probably fill that out too. And this copy function just copies all the information from the network into the item. Because everything that I've got is loaded into structs because I do not just want to leave classes floating around because those can get a little messier when you're trying to replicate stuff. All right, let's see. We've got this should load up. We should load into it, copying it over on spawn for now. And let's take a look. Let's give it a shot. I think my new inventory item should pop up. Oh, I have to do one more thing. I have to add it to the UI elements. I might have already done that actually. Let me see. Loadout widget. I've got to add to this dictionary because this dictionary holds the information for the. Come on. So summon one, summon. Okay, I didn't fuck that up, did I? Oh. Yeah, this thing only shows 10 entries per page, which is a pain in the butt. There we go, summon slot 4, summon slot 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that looks correct. Okay, so it did not fill this in. What part of the chain broke? Because that copied the inventory, the new inventory items over, but it didn't copy these summonables over. Oh, because I did not add it to the item table. Let's do that first. Rebuild the item table. Now I got the worker in there. Maybe that's the reason. Yep, there we go. So now we have the summons, and I can move them in my inventory, and I can't move them. I can move them over here, but it won't let me move it. It'll let me put it back in my summon slot. Looks like I sorted them a little wrong. Looks like the I gotta put the frame in front. And let me just check. I can actually go into summon mode. So summon mode should be R, and it looks like it disables everything else, so that's good. And build mode's B, and all these still work. Still build. And R will put me into summon mode and then back out into spell mode. And C still swaps, and then if I go to R, I can't swap items, I can't interact, but I do get the toggle for interact. In build mode, do I get interact? Oh, you can interact in build mode. Okay, so I need to add that to my mode. Wonder why it doesn't let me right now. Probably because I haven't messed with it enough. There's summoner. Where's my summon state? Summon mode state. Okay, so I process input here and here, and I do have interact, so I wonder why it doesn't let me process the input. Probably because I don't let it, it probably checks in here. Yeah, it just checks in here. So I need to add this to the state. And really this should probably be an enum, since I don't want to keep casting. But that can wait. So all of these allow me to start interact, and then pressing the button when I'm in interact will stop the interact. And it moves you to the state. Yeah, one thing I need to do as well is I want, when you interact, to get the state of those chests to change so that you actually can, I could put it in a storage chest, I just realized that. Yeah, I want it to open these chests up, interact. Oh yeah, I need to do this at the input. I need to make sure that hitting the inventory but will also exit, and then escape will also exit. And I think I already have the player controls to have an escape. Player controls. What's it called? There's previous. Where's back? It's gotta be like back button. Cancel maybe. I probably should move these over to the UI layer, because cancel is any cancel key, which I believe includes escape on the keyboard. Yeah. But I don't actually use any of that right now. Okay, well at least I can turn it off with E. But I really should get it to work where I can use the UI as well. So I'm going to the gameplay UI, and if I'm currently interacting with the container, open it. And if I'm currently interacting if I grab this guy and so that's toggle inventory. It's almost like I just need to let cancel interact still be called. Because E itself, the interact key, is not necessarily what I want to do. I want to like let interact run while that menu is open. Because I'm in interact state, but it's open, which means my input is not used. So I know how I could fix it in the cheap way. Let's take a look at player input. Player input. What the fuck? Player input. Player character input? Yeah, player character input. Okay. So this is where the switch is for if I'm in that mode. So what I need to do is actually, I just need to make the interact run regardless of whether it's open or not. All that stuff doesn't get used. But now that it's running before, interact can be used while you're currently, the question is like, do I want that to work if you're in a dialogue? Well, we'll find out. I'll try the container, and then I'll try summoning some guys and trying to talk to them. Okay, so here's the container, and E is not closing it. So if interact was pressed, I'm resetting the input before it even comes through. So this is already getting cleared. Let's just make sure it works before I go crazy. So it is ending the interact, but it does not. Okay, I don't want to fuck with this too much. So what we need is a way to cancel it with the straight up interact. But why does the interact reset and then... Okay, well, I'm gonna keep plucking away at this. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments, and I'll catch you next time.